If you love bass singers, then you will enjoy this conversation today with Jeff Chapman. Man, Jeff Chapman is one of the most favorite bass singers right now in gospel music. We had a wonderful conversation talking about Gold City, who he is with now, talked about an update on his family. We had a wonderful, wonderful time just catching up and chatting. If it's your first time here, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Hey, if you do happen to like bass singing, I am releasing solo music on a regular basis, so come back often for that as well. Check that out. Here, going into the rest of 2024, there will be more music and beyond. I have some plans, so be looking for that. Let's get to this conversation with Jeff Chapman. I think it's a great time, and I hope you think that it is as well. Hey, we're back for Fouch and Friends. Jeff Chapman is on the interview today. Thanks for your time
How's it
today, brother.
how's it going, buddy?
It's good. It's good. My bass singing friend. Now I've done 6 or 7 of these interviews the last few months. I'm trying to get back into it,
Right.
but I believe you're my first bass singing friend that I'm having on the interviews for these new ones, man. So I'm super, super excited to talk about what's going on in your life, to talk about Gold City, to talk about bass singing, talk about all of it, man. So I don't know where this is going to lead, but I'm excited to have you.
Well, it's an honor to be on here, Matt, and I've been so looking forward to this. It's it's kind of crazy. The last time you did an interview with me, I was with the Kingdom Heirs, and I was
Yeah.
there for 20 years. And matter of fact, the last interview we did was during 2020, and during the mask mandates and everything like that. And we did it in when I was backstage, and it was just a different time, crazy time back then. We talked about vocal technique and stuff like that, but man, it's an honor to be back with you today and just have a good time.
Yeah. So the last one we did was actually for a channel that I was doing during COVID called Bass Singing Central. And that's where I only talked to bass singers. And we would try to discuss vocal techniques, of habits, exercises, all of that kind of stuff to help those guys out there that are bass singers. So if you're watching and you're a bass singer, you want to hear that, you can go find that. It's called Bass Singing Central. It is on YouTube. I haven't done anything on there new in several years, but man, this one here, man, I love talking bass, but I want to talk about just Jeff Chapman, man. I just want to talk about what you got going on in your life here in 2024 and kind of of course we're talking about the big change for you professionally since we last talked is being with Gold City now, and you're regularly on the road as instead of being in the theater and going out occasionally on the road, you're out there full time now with GC, man. Tell us about all that.
Well, it's very exciting times. Uh, it's I could be here all day telling you about everything, but it's just amazing how the Lord works things out, and He has a plan, He has a design the way He wants things to go, and I'm just one of those just trying to follow His leadership and
Yeah.
everything. A lot of people didn't know, but last year, Gold City was needing a bass singer, and I've been friends with Tim and Danny for a long time, and we just happened the Kingdom Marriage just happened to be doing some concert dates while we were on the road during the winter that Gold City were doing, and I told Tim, I said, if y'all haven't gotten anybody, I'll help. I told him and Danny that I'd help out if I could. So I talked with Chris French, and he was okay with it. So we had a date down in Wimauma, Florida, with Bill Bailey on our way to the Singing at Sea. And plus, we were with them the whole cruise. So I filled in for them, and all the guys were there to support me, and everything. It was pretty cool. Had a good time doing it, doing a lot of Tim Riley songs I always wanted to do,
Oh
and
yeah. Yes,
I
sir.
had with it. People loved it, and then I went on the cruise, and so I was Kingdom Heirs Gold City, Kingdom Heirs Gold City, and back and forth, different theaters and everything, and had a good time doing all that. And
You did get paid double for all that, right?
are you kidding? This is golf.
I love it.
But no, I know they took care of me. It was
Yeah.
fine. But the Lord started dealing with me, and there was a lot of talking going on. Everybody was, Jeff Chapman, you need to go with Gold City, or Jeff Chapman, don't you leave the Kingdom Heirs? It was just back and forth, and I honestly that week I said, Lord, I'm just going to trust in you, no matter what I hear,
Mm.
what I see, or what I do. I'm just wanting to listen to you and get your will, what you want me to do. I've been with the Kingdom Heirs. I have no desire to leave. I love these guys, love the group. Been here a long time, and hard to believe 20 years was that quick.
Yeah.
And so, I kind of prayed about it, and I kind of fasted during that time, and just wanted the Lord to give me peace and everything through it. And after a little while, I kind of gotten mad a little bit because I couldn't find my peace. I mean, it didn't seem like the Lord was answering the prayer quick enough, and still had everybody calling me, texting me, and lighting me up about it, and all the guys, they were just, you know, I was there, there was no hard feelings about filling in with the guys and stuff like that. So I happened to be in Knoxville, which I didn't know Gold City was going to be in Knoxville. Well, Danny said, we still ain't got a bass singer. Can you do this after Dollywood? I said, yeah. So I went over to Knoxville and filled in. And then there was a weekend. Well, right before that, there was a weekend that we were off. It was between the Kingdom Heirs being on the road and Kingdom Heirs starting back at Dollywood. We were off for about 13 or 14 days in between. And so Danny got a hold of me. He said, man, I know you're off this weekend. The last thing you want to do is go on the road. But we have a Saturday and Sunday date. Would you mind coming down and filling in? I said, sure. So I wouldn't do anything else. So me and Sean headed out to Gadsden on a Friday evening, try to get there by 12 o'clock midnight Central Time. And we got about 10 miles from meeting the guys in Gadsden, and we hit one of the worst potholes I've ever seen in my life. It was like a crater in the road. It took
Wow.
out my passenger side front wheel and totally turned it to the side, and I slid into the median. Nothing happened. I mean, it just messed up the tire in the bottom of my car. So I called Danny. I said, you won't believe this. I am 10 minutes from you. And we still had 45 minutes before 12 o'clock, So I timed it out just right, And so he said, let me put you on the phone with one of these guys. So got me on the phone with Bruce back then. And Bruce knew of a guy with a rollback, and was able to come and get me. And Bruce came and got me and Sean, and we headed on to the bus and got on the bus, and we left out. So I knew I was going to have to stay over Monday, possibly Tuesday. I didn't know how I was going to get home unless I could fix it quick,
Yeah.
And so we did the dates and everything, and I told Danny, I said, man, let's pray that God will show me what to do, because I've filled in for y'all. I said, I like it here. I said, but I love it where I'm at. I just want to know the peace of God. So Monday I had to stay over and waiting to hear back from the car and everything. And so they said they ordered the parts. It'll take about a week to get the parts. So, so Danny let me use his SUV to get back home. And so that Monday night, I was in Gadsden, and I went out to eat with our bus driver and his wife, Russell and Lori Wise. Went to the top of the river in Gadsden and enjoyed a meal together and everything. And your booking agent, those of you that know, she's all for her group, and she's definitely talking it up, and that's those voices I've been hearing for a month and a half, and at that moment, that very second, I had no idea. And I didn't mean to come across that rude to her. I hope I didn't. I said, can we talk about something else? I said, I have been talked to death for a
Good
month.
death. Yep.
I
Yeah.
just I just want to enjoy the evening. I said, I don't mean to be mean. She said, no, that's not mean. Russell said, I know what you're talking about, man. He said, we'll talk about something. So we were talking about other things. And she said, tell me about the guys in the Kingdom Heirs. I said, well, there's some of the greatest guys I've ever traveled with. I said, Arthur had left and Jerry Martin had left, and we'd have different members. And I was telling about each one of them. And I got down to Dennis Murphy and the drummer and Andy Stringfield, the keyboard player and baritone. And I started talking about them, and God just hit my heart. And I heard a voice in my heart and my head that said, you're going to miss them. And I started crying. I started and Sean was worried about me. He said, what's wrong, Daddy? What's wrong? And they both started, both the other ones were asking me the same thing. I said, just give me a minute. I think I just found peace with something. I got confirmation of something.
Mm.
And for the first time, my visual went from worried to death about it, down, didn't know the answer, to a total peace from God.
Yeah.
And I said, will be Gold City's new bass singer.
Mm.
They all got up, come and hugged me and loved on me. We had a come to Jesus meeting right there at the table.
That's
and
awesome.
and I
Good.
instantly FaceTimed Danny and told him what I was going to do. And he said, my grace, that's awesome. Well, Danny was crying. I was crying. It was just a good spirit thing. And I totally thought positive. I didn't know how it was going to happen, how I was going to get back and forth or anything like that. And Lord just opened it up, and it was just amazing. There, you can tell when God's in it and God's got his
Yeah.
state of approval on it. His mark of approval. It's just like things just come together. Things happen that you never thought would have happened, and
Hmm.
the transition was amazing from some of the greatest guys I've ever known, the Kingdom Heirs. Just the peace of God over everything. God has worked it out to where they've got something great, and God put something together here that is really great, in my opinion. And just amazing how the Lord works. And I give him praise and glory for all of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. Great, great story, man. And so many, you're talking about all the folks that were texting you and telling you how great it sounded, and I'm sure, and all of that. And for those that are watching that maybe don't know, I mean, it's to me, it's as close as you're going to get to the classic Gold City 90s sound as what there is. And so is that what the chatter you guys are hearing out there is like? It's just, it
Most,
is that, man.
with something Tim said, whenever that evening before I went to eat with the wise, I went by and saw Tim. I hadn't saw him in a while, and his words were, "Son, I'm just gonna pray for you. How about that?" I said, "Yep." I said, "I appreciate that." And then the next morning, I go by and tell him, and he said, "Son, you about to see the third coming of Gold City," like that. And I was oh, and it's just a different area or
Yeah.
era,
Yeah.
different time for Gold City, and there's been great groups out there that have transitioned from things, and it's one of those things that I look at and just like, you know, God, you brought us through some other things. Now you're making this into a different thing,
Yeah.
and that's the way God is doing through this. And Lord's blessing. There's been a great spirit in our group, and the Lord has just anointed us and touched us, and that's I'm just thankful for all that.
That's so good. So good. And, of course, mentioning Tim Riley, we chatted, you mentioned the interview we did in 2020. We chatted some then about Tim and uh, him being a mentor to you over the years. And so I know that it is just making so many Gold City and gospel music fans so excited to have you um, singing in that Tim Riley role with Gold City as the bass singer. And I do agree with them. Like, there's nobody I can think of as a bass singer that fits that any better for giving it that Gold City sound on the low part. So I'm glad that it all worked out that way because
Well,
it's a great sound to have you in there, man.
yeah, it's amazing what the Lord's done. I mean, Chris had left the Kingsmen, and Chris Jenkins had left the Kingsmen, and he had what he had done is he'd moved from North Carolina to Nashville, Tennessee, and the travel was going to be so much bigger for him to travel. So he turned in his notice and already left the group. Well, that week, Danny calls him see if he would be interested in filling in, and he came and loved it and had always been a Gold City fan. Always. The
Yeah.
same way with me. I was a Gold City fan since the first time I heard them in the early '80s. I'm talking on an old budget album I heard them on. Heard Under Control back when it was just him singing through the whole thing. Just fell in
Yeah.
love with back then. I fell in love with Tim, and so as fans, we're kind of fanning out a lot of times on different things. The the warehouse and stuff. It's just pretty cool. And so Chris decided to join the group that weekend. And the next thing you know, Chris leaves. Chris West is gone, and then I that all happened with me. And then the next thing you know, Bruce is gone, and things happen. People leave, go to different groups, and leave singing. And this happened, and we found Josh. Josh was just going to fill in, and he's a major Gold City fan.
Mhm.
Over the years, he was a big time Ivan and Brian
Yeah.
and Lacey. That was Pillars of Faith was his favorite. That's one of my favorite albums, as well as Chris. And the Lord we're not only getting to do what we enjoy doing with one of our favorite groups over the years, but we're also fans. The only person that's in the group that ain't really a fan is Danny. He's just been in it, and he gets it a lot of times because we go fanning out on go fanboy 100%.
Yeah.
It's funny. We love it. We love it, and just an honor to be a part of it. God's done some amazing things here so
Right.
far.
Well, man, I love it. I love to hear that everything's going so good, and of course all the folks that come to concerts and hear you guys are. I do hear the chatter, obviously on social media or at the concerts. Folks are excited about it, and that's always just such a great feeling in a group is to hear folks just so encouraging about what you guys are doing and the music that you're putting out. It just feels so good to know professionally that everything's clicking and
Yeah,
it's going so good. So I'm thrilled for you guys with that. Man,
yeah,
tell us a little bit, what's going on with your family. You mentioned Sean a
yeah.
couple times when you're talking there, and I know Sean. I was talking to another artist recently. We were talking about, man, so much can change in our lives in just 4 years, especially when we have kids. And so it's like you look up and they're no longer in elementary, they're in middle school, or they're now in high school, or they're graduated. And so tell us a little bit about what your family and what's going on with them, man.
Well, my oldest son, Justin, and his wife, they have two beautiful grandkids, and I'm for me, and I'm tickled to death. They moved to Cookeville, Tennessee, and they're working there, doing great. Daughter Taylor, she still works for the Nike Corporation, and is in management now, and has been with them since she was, I believe, it was 17 years old. She started
Uh,
working for Converse and Nike, and is doing very well for herself. She just celebrated over 10 years with them, and had a great cushion to fall back on that. That's pretty good. Still
yeah,
working.
nice.
My son Sean, it's crazy because I mean, Sean has followed whether I was with the Kingdom Heirs at the NQC or just going on the road with the Kingdom Heirs. Sean has gone from just a little old 15 or 16-year-old boy that followed me around to now he is one of the product managers with Gold City. And him and Chris Jenkins can put up a product table better than anything you've ever seen with a backdrop. I mean, it looks like a Gold City superstore when they get through. I mean, they're complimented all the time on that table. I'm telling you, and That's what Sean's a part of. He's one of those. He's like Danny said when Danny decided to see if he wanted to be on the road, full time with us. He said, "Son, you gonna be the low man on the totem pole, just like I was when Daddy hired me." He
Yeah.
said, "Are you that?" Sean said, "Shoot, yeah, I'll be glad to." So Sean gets to travel full time with me right now, and I know he's turning he's 20 now. And wow, good. I was just looking on Facebook this morning. It brought up a memory. His first year in high school.
Yep.
You know, thinking, "Oh my word!" And he's 20 years old now, and he works full time for Gold City. That's crazy. And so it's just amazing how things go, and that's what my youngins are doing. And Sean, I get to travel with him. That's an honor, and I know Lord might have other directions for him in the future, but he's right now. This is where God's got him, and gets to work with his daddy, and that's pretty cool.
That's awesome. It's always cool to hear the updates of what's going on with everybody's kids and all of that, and to see kind of what God's doing, with them and their lives and everything. So it's always cool to chat about that.
You, you and your wife just celebrated an anniversary, didn't you? Or was it her?
It was her birthday. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, if you're watching in the future, we're recording this in August of 24. And yeah, my wife's birthday is in August. So I took her
Yeah,
out to eat, and I did not make dinner for her. I made sure that it was really good by taking her to a nice restaurant. So
treat her like the queen she is.
that's
Amen.
right. That's right. Man, I want to know, um, see how do I word this correctly? Um, Anything changing vocally for you? Here, and the reason I'm asking is because I was talking with Michael Booth in an interview recently, and we were talking about the differences between bass singer and tenor singer.
Right.
Um, and we were joking about how that I chose the vocal part that tends to get better with age. He chose
Right.
the vocal part that tends to not get better with age, typically. And so we were just joking about that, and chatting about the differences between the tenor part and the bass part. But I'm curious, just as getting into the bass singing part of this, I'm curious, as you've gone down the road. We've talked before about techniques from that you've learned from Tim and the mentoring and all of that. But as you've gotten more seasoned, more mature, older in your bass singing journey, have you found anything become easier for you as a bass singer, or do you feel like the age just hasn't really played a role so much as just consistency and continue to work on your craft?
Well, it's funny you should say that. The 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 consistency thing has, Tim always told me, he said, once you turn 40, buddy, you're gonna be surprised. And I was blown away between my 30s and 40s with how different my voice had changed and everything. You can hear a big difference on the recordings. And then now I just turned double nickel, 55. And so I see now a lot of consistent things. I have a tendency every night to just do what I do and do it in a consistent way. And it's funny you should say that because I've been thinking about it. It's not as hard to, it seemed like I just struggle. I mean, you worry about things, you worry if you're going to hit this note or that. It's just more every night because, Tim, Lord have mercy, some of the notes that Tim was hitting on a consistent basis, probably 10 years ago, I would have looked, there's no way I can do that. But just being able to just jump in jump in my suit and just walk up there and do what we do. That's it's very consistent. At least that's the way I feel. I'm not worried about things like that anymore.
Yeah.
It's just just do what I do. Now I will tell you this: there is a thing to be said, and you know what it's like when you come to Pigeon Forge. Did you have sinus issues?
I Not that I realized, but
Yeah,
I do know that allergies and sinus stuff can change depending on where you're
Right.
at, the region of the country that you're in or where you live.
Well, Arthur Rice, and it took me a good 8 or 9 years to realize what he was telling me from the beginning. Arthur Rice, lead singer for Kingdom Heirs for years, he said, "I'm telling you, you need to get on a daily regimen of a good allergy medicine, not anything with antihistamine in it, but something that's a daily indoor outdoor medicine,
Yeah.
and get a consistent like nasal steroid, like a Flonase or Beaconase or any of those nasal cord." Um, I found what works with me is I take the Claritin 24-hour indoor outdoor pill. I take that every morning, and I take twice a day. I do Flonase, one spray in each nostril, and those work best for me. Now I can tell when I'm on my way back from Gadsden and I'm coming through Knoxville, I'll start sneezing, I'll
Hmm.
start stuffy, and you can hear me today that my passages are not really open that well today. It's a little stuffy. I noticed when I woke up this morning, but well, I took my meds this morning and it still has to open it up completely. But I'm telling you, man, Pigeon Forge in this area is a rainforest.
Yeah.
And right now, you're dealing with ragweed, and it usually hits right before convention. And
Hmm.
that's what I'm feeling right now in my sinus. But at that, that's what I've noticed as far as when I get home, it starts affecting my sinuses. But when I'm out on the road, it feels great, breathing well and everything. But this area just really has
Interesting.
bothered me for years, and I now take it every day religiously, whether I've got allergy issues or not. And
Yeah.
it seems to work pretty good. I'm
Yeah.
just going to, but anyway, that's what some things I've noticed is just being able to be relaxed and not worry about things on stage. I think I've always had just a slight bit of fear in the
Hmm.
back of my mind when I walk on stage, because I always heard London Paris and JD and all them guys says, if you think about that note you're supposed to be hitting, you probably won't hit it. So you think about it. Just get up there and do what you do,
Yeah.
and just do it your best of your ability. Which the people don't know the difference between a B flat and a G, or a C, or they just know that it sounds good, or if they like you, they don't care. But it's
The
just being
thing I the thing I get a lot of is like, I really felt it. Like they know
right.
when they feel it if it's low,
Yeah,
right? If
yeah,
they don't feel the subs engage and shake a little bit, then they're like, that wasn't that low. But as soon
yeah.
as you hit something, to your point, whether it's a B or a G or whatever it is, if they feel it, they're like, wow, that was low. And it's funny to
Yeah,
me, and we've talked about this before, it's funny to me, you can get night in and night out, man, you sound just like this guy or that guy or whatever, and they oftentimes can be totally different bass singer. For me at least, I know your position may be a little different these days because of the similarities with Tim Riley and then being in Gold City now, but for me it's like, man, that reminded me of insert just about any bass singer over the years, and they could be night and day difference. You
yeah,
can have a concert where they say, man, you reminded me of George Yance. Man, you sounded just like JD Sumner. I'm like, they're totally different. Like they don't sound
yeah.
anything like each other. But to them, that's the compliment. Is like that's who they're referencing is whoever they loved, enjoyed hearing. And you took them back to that memory, that moment, that feeling for the subs to engage, whatever it was, the song that you sang on. You took them back to that feeling and that emotion that made them happy. And that's their way of expressing that. And I love it. I love it.
Growing up, my daughter, she used to love to hear one of the live Gold City albums. They also had a DVD with it, but it was they had done it in Hendersonville, Tennessee, and they did two back to back, one night and then the next night. And they what they did is they put a bunch of albums together and just did. And when he calls, I'll fly away.
Yeah.
My used to love to hear the first ending or the second ending on when he calls "I'll Fly Away with Tim" to the fly away,
Yeah.
and hit that bottom end. My daughter would just get chills. She said, "That's so awesome."
Yes.
I My goal, whenever we do that now, is to see if I can come close to that, just to get other people to feel what she felt every time she heard that. And
That's right.
and of course, Tim, good lands.
Yeah.
When Tim,
Yeah.
now look, you might have not have liked Tim's solo voice. He didn't sing as pretty as George, or he didn't feel as low as JD. Of course, JD was incredibly low.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
you know, but you got to admit, when Tim landed on a note, it was huge. It was just cutting through everything, and it just sounded like this giant hole in his head.
Yeah.
It's almost like a tuba or
Yeah.
a trumpet. It's just that bottom. I mean, that was amazing the first time I heard that, and I heard that back in the early '80s,
Yeah.
and I'm a huge fan of Tim. But
Yeah.
that's one thing, just to walk in his shoes there. It's an exciting time, very very incredible opportunity.
Man, I've enjoyed chatting with you today, dude. Thank you so much for giving me about 30 minutes of your time for us to just talk about music, the group, everything going on. Take just a minute real quick and if you want to share a thank you to the folks listening for their support and everything, why don't you just take a moment and share with them?
I just want to say thanks to everyone that gives an ear or an eye to this video, and especially to Matt. Matt has put out some great stuff. You should have been in broadcast to begin with.
I doubt that. Nah, nah.
Matt, Matt does an awesome job at keeping this music out there, and sit down, talk about it for him. Not necessarily in singing, but just all about the groups and all about the different singers in the groups and everything. And I consider it an honor to have Matt as a friend. He's a great guy. But I want to thank all the Gold City fans out there, the friends and family, and fans of me over the years. And I just want to thank everybody for so much being there and coming out to hear us. And you know, uh, people have different changes in groups and stuff like that, but you always, gospel music fans especially, always have a tendency to give you one more listen, just to see what it's like now. And that's one of those things I feel like is going on lately with Gold City. We've got a new album coming out in just a little bit. I know it's a lot of people have been waiting on it, and I've been waiting on it. Uh, you imagine it's produced by Gary Jones, and just is just a lot of good stuff. I'm looking forward to letting people hear and everything. Got a new single coming out, um, but there, the guys have a big thing coming up this Friday on Facebook and everything. So I'll let them do that. But there's some exciting times coming up in the near future for Gold
That's
City.
awesome.
All the Gold
Awesome.
City fans and everything. Thank you so much for sticking with us and just being patient with us. God's got good work going here, and He will continue it until the end. So we're excited about that, and thank you all for listening.
And yeah, I echo that. Thank you all so much. Thanks for being here, and thank you, Jeff, for your time. And folks, we'll see you next time on Fouch and Friends.